So when cutting out the geometric shape earring, I have an issue with the tiny little pieces wanting to fall through, and the ones that can fall through the honeycomb, not an issue, but the ones that line up with the honeycomb end up halfway in, halfway out, and they actually interfere with the movement of the laser. And so I end up actually elevating my wood off of the work surface, so there's an additional void for those small pieces to fall through and not interfere with the movement of the laser. But then what that does is it allows the earring itself to want to fall through once the outer perimeter is cut, which ends up with irregular cuts on the side of the laser, or on the side of the earring where it falls through. So today we are going to play with tabs. See how that's burnt off because it fell through, the laser got it. So today we're going to learn how to play with tabs. Okay guys, so today we're going to be talking about tabs. And not this stuff. No. I've never understood this stuff. I mean, if you ever saw the commercials back in the 70s, there were always some really skinny, good-looking babe usually drinking this tab diet drink. You know, the last person in the world need to be drinking a diet drink. You know, this should have been marketing to me. You know, but you never saw a fat man drinking the diet drinks. It was always those skinny little chicks that the last thing they needed was anything diet. Same thing with the makeup commercials. They got teenagers in there that don't even need makeup wearing them. But anyway, I digress. I tried the tab. Thought maybe, well, if I drank the tab, maybe I could meet up with somebody that looked like the girl drinking the tab. But that backfired. And it might have had something to do with the look I had on my face after taking a drink. It was usually something like, and they ran away. I don't know. But let's jump in here to LightBurn and talk about tabs in LightBurn. All right. So here's my earring. I'm going to zoom in here tight to the earring. And right now everything is grouped together. All right. In order to add tabs, I need to be able to just select that perimeter around the outside of the earring. So I need to ungroup everything and select just that outer perimeter. And there we go. Actually, that's not just the outer perimeter, that's the inner piece too. Let's see if that's going to work. You know what? Take that back. Let's look and see if you do have to ungroup it. Thought I did, but select everything, group it back. And this is your tab key right over here, underneath your node edit button, one above your text. So if you select tab, yeah, it's not letting me add anything here. I thought so. All right, so we ungroup everything like I started. But now I'm going to try this. Try to add tabs. I'm still grouped here with my whole. Go to tab. Yeah, now see, that's letting me add there. But what you want to do is when you add a tab, you're going to come to your line. We're going to get in closer so I can get in here a little easier. And just simply click where that needs to go. Now, when you add a tab, you want to keep in mind this is a piece of that the laser's not going to cut. And it's just a very small tab that's going to hold that piece in place. So when you place these tabs, you're going to want to put them on as large of a flat area as possible and away from any fragile areas, because you don't want to break your engraved piece trying to break the tab off. And once you've placed a tab, if you don't like where it's at, you can just click on it and drag it around anywhere. It's going to follow the path of the outline. Well, I've dropped it. But just click on it and you can drag it anywhere you want. But like down here in the curve next to that little cutout, that'd be the worst place in the world for it. Now, how do you delete it? Well, it's not like node editing. You don't hover over it and hit the D or hit the delete. That deletes your whole line. We don't want to do that. So how do you delete that? Simply you hover over it and double click, and that'll get rid of it. And click that's to add it back in there. So it's that simple to add tabs. Tabs can be your friend when you're working with little pieces and you don't want, like this earring, let's look here. It's only a 2-inch earring, and with all those cuts, wrong button, there we go. That's a 13-minute cut. You don't want to be, actually 13:52. You don't want to be 13 minutes into a 14-minute cut, only to find out that your piece is dropped and now the lasers hit it and it's ruined it. So when you're working with small, delicate pieces and you don't need that thing falling out of place, tabs are your friend. That would be these tabs over here and not that one.
Okay, so tabs did what it was supposed to do. The earring is still attached to the main piece of board. All of my pieces had room to fall out with my spacing on above my honeycomb. So that worked out flawlessly. And as far as the tabs go, I was concerned about the size of the tabs because I never saw where you could adjust it. But if we look here, and we're going to go in real tight. There's a tab. And there's a tab. All right, so let's get this out here and break them apart and see what's involved there. The tab is there. And there. Barely make them out. I don't know if you can see it in the camera there. All right, let's give this a whirl. It's good and tight. All right, so got a little, that's where your tab was at. So of course there's no burn mark because it didn't burn there. So that means, when I sand this down completely, I actually like the burn edges on this wood and this earring. So the tab's going to take away from that, because we're going to have to sand that all down to get it nice and uniform. But let me do some finishing and see what we look like. Okay, so after a little bit of time sanding, focus. There we go. Let's focus on the background. That cleaned up really well. You can't see where the tabs were at. And I may have changed my mind about the burnt edge. Sanding that down and cleaning it up, it does give it a more finished look, and I feel like that, there we go, that looks like it's worth more money cleaned up. So those are tabs. Tabs are your friend when you're dealing with small parts and you don't want to be redoing them time and time again. That turned out nice. Now we need to put some finish on it, some hardware, and off she goes.
All right, so this was a short one. I hope you found it informative. Hopefully it'll help you out and save some pieces on some parts. I'm going to go back to cutting earrings. This is Steve, Hobo with Wood. We'll see you in the next video.